time. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Talking About Birds, the only podcast that, like the Cardinals, is begging for the end. My name is Ben Samorka, and Nate is not here this week. Nate isn't here this week, but I am joined by one of our favorites, by the Podfather himself, by a man who I love very dearly, who said some unnice things about me on other podcasts, even on my own show sometimes. But here we are together, finally, at last. Daniel Shoptaw, C70. Good to have you on the show today.
It's good. I appreciate you, again, like I said, putting that feud aside because, when you're in need, where do you come? You come right here. I was going to say the show was going to be better this week because no Nate, but then I'm here, so it kind of evens out.
Well, I did consider just doing a solo episode. We've done this once before early in the run, and I thought to just, it'd be quick. No Daniel, no Nate, very little Ben, but I thought, no, I should have C70 on. We should chat and do it together.
I'm assuming Kelsey wasn't available. It's really what it boils down to.
Right. Well, no, that's the other. Nobody's answering my phone calls anymore. So at least you picked up. So it's a little bit of housekeeping. Nate, I think he called this out in the last couple of episodes, but he is off gallivanting in California. So obviously happy to have Daniel pinch hit for him on this episode. Nate did send me a photo. He's out for some work thing. I don't even know what he does. He's out though. And it seemed like he was working from the former A's ballpark. He sent me a photo of the field. It looked like it was set up for soccer or something like that. So I'm really confused of what he's doing. It's baseball adjacent. But anyways, he's out there. He's doing something. Nobody really knows. Frankly, who cares? But anyways, happy to have.
Given the issues of that stadium, he might be out there doing some plumbing. I don't know.
Yeah, he might be swimming in a river of human feces right now. Actually, I didn't think about that. That
should cheer you up.
Kind of that warms my heart a little bit. Anyways, enough about Nate. Daniel, how are you doing? How is your Cardinals fandom doing? How has your summer been? How's it going?
Fine. I mean, again, it's not the summer that we all wanted, but it is a summer that has not been completely miserable. It has been a summer where I could actually watch the Cardinals again. Now that the streaming comes into my area, that has made it a little bit more interesting. But yeah, it's a year that I don't know. Maybe when we get to the end of it, we'll be able to compare. I don't feel like this is as miserable of a year as 2023 was, even though the records are going to be fairly similar probably when we're all said and done. What do you think?
Yeah, I think I agree with that because I mean, if you think back of May and just like early season, we were talking about a real offense. We were winning games that good teams win. I think I said that a few times. Like there were promising things happening. Certain players' seasons hadn't cratered yet. We were getting more from the pitching than we ever rightfully should have got. Things were breaking the right way. Let's see, I'm pulling up our record on May 19th was 27-21, and we beat the Detroit Tigers 11-4. That was a good day. We were having fun. So at least there was that. We had that section of the season. We have Victor Scott this season. We have some things, Matthew Liberatore. We have some things that felt like steps forward. Even though I guess what I'll say is like lately it's been almost hard for me to turn the game on. It's been kind of a slog.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when we were in St. Louis at Blogger Day, Mo mentioned how this team, never was out of it. They always rallied. Even if they didn't win, they, often would be. And at that point, I think that was true. We've talked about it some on our show, but, especially in the last 6 weeks, man, if they get down 2 or 3 runs, you just know that that's pretty much it. I mean, every once in a while they'll surprise, but this offense has been so putrid, I guess is really the only word for it, that, it is difficult to imagine a significant rally coming out when you've got players like, until recently, especially Nolan Gorman Jordan Walker making up a lot of that lineup, there are a whole lot of holes
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah. I the last couple of nights the Cardinals game is over, or I'm winding my night down or whatever, and I'm turning on the Phillies Dodgers series, which is two really great teams, and you have Shohei Ohtani pitching and hitting his 50th home run, and Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber, and these just all these great players and great pitchers and everything like that, and you're watching. And having watched so much mediocre baseball and then watching those two great teams, something that sticks out is, oh yeah, these teams hit the ball over the wall. They pitch. They have timely hitting. They have reliable players on defense. The Cardinals' brand of baseball is just crappy right now.
Yeah, when you say that, there are, if you take Cal Raleigh, Shohei, and Schwarber, add all their home runs together, and they have more than the Cardinals do as a team. And I mean, and by a few still, because I think the Cardinals are at 142 is what I looked at earlier today.
It's 141, very close.
Yeah, okay,
Very
and
close. 141.
I don't know if that counts Burleson's home run from today.
Oh, you know what? Damn it! I think you're right. Yeah, Burley hit a biscuit today, right before we got on. So yeah, it's 142. You were right. I'm sorry.
I only, like I said, only because I dug into that to see how bad the offense was this afternoon. Did that stick in my head? But yeah, I mean, like you said, early in the year, at least you did have the doubles. You had had some action going on. Remember, I don't know if you remember this, back at the beginning of this year, they started the season with what, like 10 straight games of 10 hits or more, right? I mean, it was like this really long run to start the season. And we thought, hey, this offense is here. And now it takes like 2 or 3 games to get to 10 hits, it feels like. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the change is. I don't know if it's just the league caught up with the players and the players didn't adjust. I don't know, but things, if you had told us at, opening day how miserable we would be right now, I don't know that we would have believed it.
No, it's hard to believe there are ways to like slice this team up, and like if you were just to say Alec Burleson has established himself over an entire season, Willson Contreras converted to first base well, Victor Scott came up and kept his job. If you just started listing those things off, you'd be like, wow, the Cardinals are probably fighting for a spot, right? And then, well, that's just not the case, because it's. Well, okay. I want to zoom out even a little bit further. Like, how are you feeling about this team now going forward? Nate and I have been talking the last couple of weeks about like what questions have been answered this season, because this was ostensibly the point of the season, or at least that's what the front office told us. Do you feel like any questions have been answered? Do you feel better going into the season in 2026? What are your thoughts?
Those are not mutually exclusive, because I think there have been questions answered, but I don't know that we feel better about 26 because some of those questions have been answered in a negative way. And I think
Sure.
I think that I think our hope was that the offense would take a step forward. All those young players, and you might have to go out and supplement in the pitching staff, but they would be, a contending team in 26. Now I think we've seen enough out of Nolan Gorman that it becomes very difficult to expect a breakout from him now. Jordan Walker has had moments, but has also looked terrible, even, and it's not like he was terrible and he got better. He's rough right now. Defensively fine, but I think when you take those two guys out of the equation, and then you have Victor Scott, who even at his best is going to be, a very complimentary player, is a guy that's, it's going to have his speed. He's going to have to be able to get on base. I think that I just don't think they took the steps that they needed to, and that there's not necessarily the obvious answer coming up. I mean, JJ Weatherholt's going to be there next year, and hopefully that helps. But I think Heimblum has more work cut out for him than I expected this winter.
Yeah. We were talking about this in the Birds Court earlier today, but are we ready to make a decision on Nolan Gorman? Have we seen enough of this high strikeout, not great defense, not enough home runs kind of profile to make a decision. I know Jake had mentioned that he feels pretty confident. What did he say? Over 1,500 plate appearances, which is a lot. I'm not sure if I'm there yet, but you really like a month of Gorman just being hot and hitting home runs, or even longer than that would have really, I guess, calmed my anxiety on what to expect from him and what to even do with him. And the JJ Weatherhold of it all is great, but it is confusing where he fits and how the Cardinals should utilize him next year if they do utilize him next year. It's the whole thing is messy.
Yeah, and I mean it's a roster that has a lot of redundancies and a lot of things that don't fit. And how do you put all these people in here? And again, I think that's why we have talked. Most every podcast has talked about how the fact that this should be that offseason we've thought that's going to happen for the last 2 or 3 years, where people are going to move, and not necessarily just, oh, they didn't re-sign a free agent. They're actually going to try to trade off some of these people. And I think they have to. And for Gorman, I've always felt like he's the boomer bust, right? He's going to give you 2 or 3 good weeks, and then he's going to slide back off and maybe give you 4 or 5 bad weeks. And so if he had been hot since he took over, August 1st when Nolan Arenado went out, I still don't know that I would have completely been on the bandwagon, but I would have liked it better. But we saw a very consistent playing time for him, maybe the most consistent playing time he's had since his rookie year. And he didn't do anything with it. I mean, he has looked really, really rough. I mean, in the strikeouts and stuff like that. Even when he's not striking out, there's nothing there. I probably would agree with Jack. I imagine that somebody will find him, take him. He'll hit 40 home runs for Philadelphia next year, and but I just don't think it's going to happen.
I was going to say the Yankees, but yeah, maybe it's Philly. Actually, you say Philly, they don't really like Alec Bohm. Maybe it does make a ton of sense. Schwarber leaves, they bring in Gorman, they somehow fix Gorman, and he hits 40 bombs magically.
Yeah, I mean, y'all have talked about him being the Schwarber type, right? Maybe they just use him as the cheap replacement for Kyle Schwarber. I mean, I was just putting that out of a hat, but maybe it does work. I just think that I just don't know that this works in St. Louis anymore.
Yeah. Wow. Well, let's I guess let's zoom back in. Let's get off topic for. You see any movies or anything recently? Let's change the energy up. What have you been up to recently outside of baseball?
No. No, I haven't seen anything since I went to the movies this summer and saw Superman and Fantastic Four.
Superman was good, right? Yeah, I didn't see Fantastic Four because I'm not doing Marvel anymore because I've been tricked too many times. But I thought Superman was really good.
Yeah, Superman was really good. And in fact, of course, I have a low bar. I will, most any Marvel movie I will say is pretty good. But I thought Fantastic Four was a different, and it helped that it was set in a different universe, a different world. Didn't have all the tie-ins.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they're set in a wholly different a place where they've been the only superheroes for a few years now.
Oh.
So now, granted, they'll probably be joining the MCU proper here with Doomsday, but as of right now, it is kind of a bit of a standalone, and it was good.
Okay.
So other than that, no.
I might illegally download that and watch that. So
you wait it's coming out on digital here pretty soon. So like next week, maybe.
No, I'd like to illegally download it to make sure that. Okay, I'm
not endorsing, but I understand where you're going.
I mean, I'm joking. I would never do anything illegal. That's I'm protected by the freedom of speech or so. I don't know.
Fact,
whatever. Anyways, yeah. I'm protected by obscurity. All right. Let's get into some Cardinals news. We did have, since we've last recorded, we learned that Masyn Winn is going to be shut down for the remainder of the season. I'd been asking for this for a few weeks at this point, really since we found out about the knee and the tear. And I mean, his performance for the past 2 months ish has there's just been no power. There's been no offense. The defense has stuck around, which is, I think, why he's been there. We talked about the potential of winning the Gold Glove and other ancillary reasons of why he was still there. Me believing that the competitive or the playoff chances were not a realistic thing. But either way, Masyn Winn down for the remainder of the year. It sounds like he'll probably get knee surgery sooner than later. Again, I'll just repeat myself. I think this is a good move. I'm glad they're doing it. Thomas Saggese is getting more starts at shortstop, which I think is also generally a good thing for his development. But yeah, that came down this week.
I think the first time I remember anything is Jim Hayes mentioned it. I think around the All-Star break about how Mason's knee was bothering him some or had been having him issues, and I think if you look, after the second half, especially after August 1st, he's hitting, I think maybe under 200, right in that area. And you're right, no power. There was one game, I think it was that extra inning game where he had a ball that wound up being I think a double, but it felt like if he'd been fully strength, he would have popped that out of the ballpark, and it wasn't anywhere close. So, I felt like this should have been done 2 or 3 weeks ago, like y'all did. And I don't know. I am a little bit surprised that I think just the fact that they had to scratch him for 2 or 3 days in a row. But I am a little bit surprised they didn't. He wanted to come back and play at least one more game in St. Louis. I'm a little bit surprised, given the fact that there are no real stakes, that they didn't try to at least keep him off the injured list until then. It's not like they don't have a problem playing shorthanded. So, and let him get one more game in. But maybe I'm glad they didn't. And I hope, I think I saw maybe even this Friday or something, he might be getting the surgery. I'm not 100% sure, but better to do that and hope that there are no complications than to wait around.
Yeah. Hopefully he can have like as normal of a off season as you possibly can while having knee surgery. Pulling up his numbers right now, over the last 55 games, 2 homers, 5 stolen bases, and a 73 WRC plus. He's hitting 238, 286, 324. Again, the defense was still there, but it's just if your knee doesn't work, how do you play baseball? I don't know. I don't even know how he was playing defense. That the whole thing amazes me. If my meniscus was torn, I would take off work and all I do is sit in a chair. Like I don't know how he was doing what he was doing.
Oh, it's pretty remarkable. And I do feel like, I mean, maybe it's because we're in a bit of an echo chamber, but it does feel like if he doesn't win the Gold Glove, it'd be a pretty good surprise. I mean, given the fact he was the fielding outs above average, he was well ahead of anybody else. And just having to shut it down for the last couple of weeks, I don't think it'll be a problem.
He also does it in a way that is very Gold Glovey. Like he is very exciting to watch. Like I'm not telling you anything you don't know, but the rocket arm, the range, just the way he goes about it, the kind of I don't know, the smirk or the look he has on his face after he throws somebody out. Like it's all just Gold Glovey, and he should win it because I feel that way.
I don't like to put that on him, but it does feel like Ozzy a bit, right? I mean,
it does,
because of the flash that he has, because of the flair, and because he's really, really good. I mean, he went some 50, 60 games without an error, and he should have gone even longer, but they went and retroactively added one. I just, it's the closest thing we've had to Ozzy since 96 when Ozzy retired, I think. And he's not going to be, I don't think Masyn Winn's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'd be glad if he was, but it's just fun to have that kind of energy again.
Yeah. I think, not to mention he's friends with Ozzy. Like they talk, they talk about how to approach grounders or whatever the hell shortstops talk to each other about. I think it's a smaller guy, not a huge offensive output. He's fast, good arm, great glove. Ozzy, that good enough for me. But yeah, I agree. I do think it'd be kind of a surprise if he doesn't win for all of the things that we just said. And to say it for the 1,000th time, extend this man, give him his money, keep him a Cardinal as long. Maybe you have 5% more leverage in contract negotiations when his knee is currently exploded. I don't know. I don't really care. They should just give him money and retain him for as long as we can.
Yeah. And I mean, we're running out of the excuse, at least part of the excuse lately was, well, Mo doesn't want to do that because it's Heimblum's call. Well, here in a week or two, Heimblum, helps Mo pack, and he can, call Masyn in at that time if he wants to.
I hadn't thought about that while the season is winding down, we only have a few games remaining. That does mean, I mean, have they, maybe they've announced this and I just haven't seen it. Is it like the last game happens and Heimblum takes over, or is it, obviously it'll be his off season. The off season begins post World Series. When does this all change over? But we are very close to it.
I haven't necessarily seen anything. I did see, there's some indications, and I think we can, maybe even seen some of the roster moves, some indications that Bloom is taking a higher profile, behind the scenes, even as of now. I think I heard something about the last week, some sort of maybe turnover, but I think that I figure in this last homestand, this last 3 games that we'll have against the Brewers, they'll have some sort of ceremony for Mo, and then that may be really kind of it, because Bloom's gonna have to have October to kind of hit the ground running once transactions start.
Last game for Mo, do you think so? There's going to be like 3,000 people in the stadium. Do you think, how is that going to go? Do you think he'll get a nice reception?
I think so. I hope so. Again, what have you done for me lately? That doesn't work so well for Mo, but he's been here. He's been in the organization forever. He's been the head guy for since 2007. They won a World Series. He was here when they won in 2006. He had a hand in drafting Pujols and Molina. When you look at Mo's resume, it's really good. It's if you're looking at it, it gets tainted by the last 4 or 5 years, but it's really good. I don't know that, you're not going to get a retirement ceremony like Pujols or Wainwright and have a bunch of people out on the field. No. It's probably more of a, video montage before a game or something, but I would hope that he would get a positive reception.
Yeah, that would be cool if some of the retired players came around, like John Jay and Daniel Descalso. They're there. I'll be curious to see. He won, like you said. He's been here forever. Maybe some people will show up for him. That would be cool. But yeah, I don't know. I guess we'll see. Maybe people will actually show up to that game. I kind of secretly am hoping that as he retires from the Cardinals, he is folded into the Rockies organization somehow, being a Colorado native, and the Rockies being so desperate for anything. Even though I'm tired of talking about Mo and I'm tired of the way he goes about it, it would be such an upgrade for the Rockies. I'm holding out hope that there's going to be something that happens there.
I feel like if Mo signed with the Rockies, they would make him the next Dinger. Because they wouldn't know what to do with him. I've heard. I think Mo's going to stay in the.
Wait. Go ahead. By that, do you mean he's wearing the costume, or that they are trotting him out as if he is a mascot?
No, he's wearing the costume.
He's wearing the costume. Okay.
Yeah.
I went to the Rockies game last night. Obviously, I didn't talk to Dinger. He was very busy. Obviously, he's got his dinosaur duties and. Right. There's a million things going on. Everybody wants his attention. But it was Bark at the Park night. So I'm walking, my wife and I were just kind of cruising around the outfield terrace where all the dogs were. And there were some cute puppies out there. You're not going to believe it, but there was 300 some odd very cute dogs, and they were getting pets. And Dinger seemed stressed by the situation, was quickly walking through a crowd of people and dogs and shoving people out of the way. I think on accident, but it looked, I don't know. It was a funny situation to be in.
How do dogs see Dinger though? Do you think they see him as like a larger version of them, or is he some sort of, hey, I've got to protect my master from this, which they don't necessarily know it's purple, but this big, huge, crazy thing? I don't know. I could see that could be a problem for a mascot.
Now that you're making me question this, in my mind, I think of Dinger as essentially just a big purple dog. I'm kind of like a dog, so it would make sense to me that dogs are thinking the same thing, right?
Absolutely. So I don't know. Yeah, it could. But I think Mo was supposed to take over. I thought he said, and maybe I've just assumed that he's going to move into the business side of things with the Cardinals.
Yeah, when we were doing our when we were out there for the podcaster event, he mentioned something like that. He was talking about how much he's learned on the business side from the DeWitts, and I don't, if he goes on and does that, I can't think of a more boring thing. Does he really? Can't he retire? I feel like he's got to be
Oh
fine.
yeah, he can retire if he wants to, but
Right? Why keep
I don't
working?
know.
You have the best job in the world. If you're not going to do that job anymore, just retire. What I don't
I mean,
understand.
trust me, if I had Mo's money, I would retire right now. No
Oh my
doubt.
god. If I had even a fraction, you'd never see me again. We'd
I
be
mean, there
done.
is the Bill DeWitt tier on the show, so yes, we know that.
I will fade off into the black. You'll never see me again. I'll take Nate's share. I'll get that from him somehow, and yeah, I'll be on island time, baby. All right, let's get come on now, Daniel. Let's get back on topic.
Sorry.
Another player has been shut down for the remainder of the season. The Cardinals place first baseman Willson Contreras on the IL. It was retroactive to September 16th. According to the Cardinals transaction tracker, it says shoulder strain. There's also a bicep issue. Either way, he's on the IL, shut down for the remainder of the season. It is what it is. This season has been weird for so many reasons. I do think that I kind of mentioned this at the top of the episode. We did learn what a Willson Contreras first base season generally looks like. But the injuries kept up, which I feel like kind of robbed us of a full, what we expected to see, 600 plus plate appearances type of thing. What I did find funny is that he accrued, I think it was 135 games this year. Which he has done more in the past. The Cubs, he had 138, but he did eclipse his previous season high in plate appearances. Previously, it was at 544. This year, he got to 563. So technically, we got more out of Willson Contreras, of him, his bat, I guess, at least playing first base, but ultimately not what we wanted, I guess, is where I'm rounding out this to say.
Yeah, I think that. I mean, it was still good, and I mean, when you put it in comparison to the rest of the offense, it's amazing.
Oh my God, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, I think that we expected more than 20 homers at first base with him, not having to catch. He got hot at times. I remember he started off really badly. But you had to do it because, I mean, we already saw what the catching situation was like this year. What would that look like if you have Willson Contreras behind the plate too? You're definitely not seeing him, but 100 or so games as they try to get in Pages or Pozo or Crooks or whoever else may be. So, hopefully it steps up another notch next year. But he definitely, like you said earlier, he took to it well. I mean, the defense was amazing for a guy that had not played there very much.
Yeah. And can I get you on the record? How do you feel about the number of catchers on the active roster right now with Willson going down?
I mean, I am a little surprised that they didn't go get Bernal and bring him up as well.
Bring him up.
They did promote Raniel Rodriguez a little bit. His minor league system could have brought him up too. I hope that we can struggle by with 4 catchers, but I'm not sure.
Hopefully. I don't know. Yeah, I worry. There's only a few games left, but I worry.
Only
the thing with Willson, the thing with Willson is, so we know he can play first base. We know he can play first base at a high level. We know he has one of the better arms at first base in baseball. We know that his bat speed is still elite level. We know that he, leading to him just hitting the ever-loving shit out of the ball. All of his numbers look good. All of his expected numbers look good. Every metric look good. It would be nice if he walked a little more. I do think that it probably it's a good bet that Willson Contreras is going to have another solid Willson Contreras season next year. Do you think or I guess I am of the opinion that based on all those things I just laid out, that he's probably a desirable player. Do you think Chaim Bloom is going to try to shop him? And do you think there would be much of a market if the Cardinals wanted to move on from Willson Contreras next year?
Yes to both. I
Yeah.
imagine that Bloom will approach Gray, Contreras, Arenado, just like Mo did last year, and say, "Look, you want to be here? Do you not want to be here? Where what can we do to help you get what you want?" Um, Contreras has been very vocal about wanting to be in St. Louis. But and it's kind of the same with Gray a little bit, but you kind of wonder if they're not necessarily going to be competitive next year. Are they going to be competitive in 2 years? And if not, does Willson look at this and like, by the time this team is good, I'm no longer under contract. So
Right.
should I go ahead and move? I think that if went on the market, I do think that he would be attractive. I think some people might want to try to move him back to catcher. Um,
Right.
but I think that his bat's strong enough that people would take I mean, especially if the Cardinals are paying part of that salary. He's got 2 years. I think, yeah, I don't think they'd have any problem moving him.
Yeah. I What? So, what am I trying to say? I think I would say the same thing. If Katie Wu and Derek Gould and the like were asking me, do I want to be traded? I think in to the public, to the media, I think no matter what the situation is, every time I'd be like, no, I'm a St. Louis Cardinal for life. Never want to leave. This is the best. While that might not be truly how I feel, and maybe I'm telling Mo and Heim something different, I kind of don't put too much weight into Sonny Gray and Willson Contreras saying that because I think it's easy to say and people like hearing it, even if there's an argument that it's kind of at the detriment of the team. You'd rather hear the player be like, yeah, I'm right where I want to be. That's why I signed this contract. Let's go.
Yeah, it's definitely what you want to hear. I think Contreras may have been a little bit more passionate about it than we would see normally. Because
Yeah.
it's not even, it's kind of like Nolan, right? Nolan will say, "Hey, I want to be here. I love being a Cardinal, but, I also see where the team's going. And if that's, if it works out, I'm somewhere else, then it does." I think it's harder to walk back you know, man, we've got so much to do here. I'm going to win this World Series here. And then, 2 weeks later, you're in Boston or whatever the case may be.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
but I mean, if that's the case, that's the case. I mean, I think that, um, I think after a year like this, it behooves those guys to take a hard look and see where this team is and what that window matches up with the contract window they're in.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm very hopeful that that happens. I'm very hopeful that Chaim Bloom makes a better argument than whatever argument Mo made. And for many reasons, I think that it would be good for the Cardinals. I think it'd be good for baseball at large to have Willson Contreras and Sonny Gray on teams that are relevant. I guess I'll throw Nolan Arenado in there too, although that one seems way more tricky on how you move them. But obviously, there are many teams that would be interested in Sonny Gray and Willson Contreras. Talk about Nolan Arenado. He is back from the injured list. He had a good first game back. I don't know. What are you expecting out of Nolan after in this last couple of weeks? Do you think it's good he came back? What are your
I
thoughts?
think that it's probably good for him that he came back because it does show that he's healthy. In case teams wanted to know that going into the winter. I think it looks like the defense is there. We saw already have seen some good plays out of him in just a couple of games. And after watching Nolan Gorman, who has gotten better, but those first few games when he played third base were a little bit
Oh my
rough.
God.
It's
Yeah.
like I don't
Yeah.
know where that ball is going to go. And then even so, even at his best, he's not going to play like Nolan Arenado. So I'm glad. I would, I'm a big Arenado fan, so I would love for him. I'd love there to be a way for him to stay on this team next year. But I think he's going to open his circle of teams up a lot more this winter because he is such a competitor, and it doesn't seem like that's working here. And he sees the writing on the wall. Like he has that quote today or yesterday of how the team's going younger, and that doesn't necessarily fit he's not getting younger. But I'm still not 100% sure what team trades for him that's in the contention. When he's pretty much a glove first third baseman.
Yeah, I still think the Tigers make sense. I think there are some other teams that also make sense, but there's also like I think something that Nolan should. Maybe he does know this. Maybe I don't know what he does know and doesn't know, but it seems like he's not taking into account how many teams get into the playoffs now. And honestly, if he just goes with a team who has a need at third base, I don't know. It might work out for him. It's not working out here. At least it hasn't. Pretty much since he got here. Not really his fault, but it's just been doo-doo is really, that's all the analysis I have for the Nolan Arenado St. Louis Cardinals era.
You can't get that anywhere else.
No, you cannot. All right, let's talk about the Cardinals play a little bit and get the show moving, get off the ground a little bit. The Cardinals are 74-78. They're still technically in the wild card race. They are 5 games back. I think they have a 0.2% chance of making the playoffs according to Fangraphs. So I'm sure Daniel, I know I'm holding out for that. Anything could happen. Anything is possible. But I guess I'd like to ask you, is there anything that you've seen in these first 2.5 weeks of September that are making you feel like we're not 74-78 or anything great, anything terrible that you've seen?
I saw today's game, so now we're 74-79. So that much.
Oh God, I am.
that's what I've seen that makes me think they're not. No. I know.
You could tell I wrote the outline early today and have not. Yeah,
that's fine.
I just assumed nothing notable would happen in the game.
You don't expect that afternoon games always throw you off. Y'all are usually recording during the game and not after it. No, right. I haven't seen. I mean, I think what we've seen over the last week or 2 weeks, especially, almost makes you surprised they're that good. Because it really has gotten bad, right? I mean, the offense is rough.
Yeah.
Every once in a while you get a good pitching performance. We saw a great one out of Michael McGreevy last night.
Really nice one. Yeah.
But, you're going to get one of those, like, out of the 5-man rotation. As it goes around, you may get one good start, maybe 2. And the other 3 are probably going to, blow up, like we saw today with Andre Plante, who probably could have given up more, but still struggled as he has done. And so, yeah, I think they're going into this. It would be nice if they could figure out a way to win, just win the next 3 series, even if the Brewers are kind of, settled and the Cubs have clinched.
Downshifting.
Yeah, all that. But still, if they could win, 6 of the last 9, I think at least it'd give you a little bit of a little bit of hope for next year. But I think that's actually kind of probably pushing it.
Yeah, man.
I'm such a fun guest. I know.
I was just gonna say to turn your big sour take around a little bit. Saggese has been decent. Yeah. He has a WRC plus of 106 in the month of September. I mentioned this earlier. He's kind of entrenched at shortstop going forward. He's funny. I don't know how to put my finger on him, but his plate approach is kind of funny. He's a free swinger. I wish there was a little more power, but I think we're watching him in real time get a little more comfortable against big league pitching, get a little more comfortable under the third deck. It's all kind of it's not like he's forming into an all-star, but he's looking more and more like a real big leaguer, I think, quickly in front of our eyes right now.
Yeah, he's looked pretty good. I think he's working his way into that utility role for the future.
Yeah.
And if he's your utility guy, you're doing pretty well.
Yeah.
So I don't, again, is he ever going to be like a starter level? I don't know. I mean, maybe there's more development, but for, again, if he's your, if next year you've got Winn and Weatherholt, and then, one of the Nolans probably playing third. I don't know, or maybe somebody else. But if Jason
Donnie at third,
maybe, or Donnie at second and Weatherholt at third, because Weatherholt played a little third in the minors this year. Well, whatever the case, if those are your guys, your starters, and then you can feel like you can put Saggese in at any time for any one of those and not miss too much of a beat. So yeah, I think that's pretty good. And if you want to look at other positives, Ivan Herrera has looked like what we thought Ivan Herrera could
That
work.
was next name I was going to bring up. But we were talking about this last week. Nathan Church was the F4 leader in September with like 4 plate appearances or something on the Cardinals. Ivan Herrera has taken that over with almost a full WAR. He's got a 174 WRC plus, 5 homers, couple of steals also. What do you do with Ivan Herrera going forward? Is he your DH? Is he your left fielder? Is he a first baseman? What are you thinking the Cardinals need to do with him?
I mean, it feels like he's going to be whichever one of those they need, right? I mean, I think if you're taking this roster and rolling it into next year, then yeah, he's probably your left field / DH, and maybe more DH than left field. If Contreras moves and Willson goes to first base on a regular basis, then he's your full-time DH probably. I just can't imagine. I know he's talked about wanting to be back behind the plate. I know the Cardinals have not ruled it out. It's just really hard to imagine, given what the Cardinals have behind in the catching department and how valuable his bat is. As somebody pointed out, we keep developing these catchers or signing these catchers that are too valuable to actually catch. So yeah, I think he's your center point. I mean, if you want to look at the success story, and I know he was hurt for some, but I think that's the success of this year is to see Ivan Herrera really turn into what we thought he was going to be.
Yeah, he is legitimately good. I feel very confident in saying that he's probably the best hitter on the team. I think his power is legit. I do feel strongly he needs a position. And whether that's kicking Burley back into the outfield or getting rid of Burley or moving Contreras and putting Ivan at first base, getting him reps in the outfield, moving him back to catcher if he's your backup to the backup catcher and starting at first base or left field, whatever it is. I hate the relegation of a 25-year-old who is, like I just said, I believe is the best hitter on the team to the DH position. Even Yordan Alvarez, who has knees made of glass, plays the outfield. Not every day, and he's oft injured. There's a lot of issues with Yordan Alvarez, but you have to have that positional flexibility when he's as young as he is. And I have a hard time. I've kind of always not agreed with the decision that he's not good enough at catcher or that the stolen bases are a problem. I've kind of been bucking against that for a year plus now. It doesn't have to be catcher, but I do think it has to be a position, and I would move other guys or beg, borrow, and whatever it takes to get him to supplant somewhere.
That's fair. I can
or to plant somewhere, right. not be supplanted.
Right.
Plants.
Yeah. The green things that we kill around the area.
You get it. This is why I have you on the shows, because you get me.
Yeah, I think that, and it really depends. We've seen a little bit more of the Cardinals going to that dedicated DH, but for the most part, it's been, hey, we want to get a guy off his feet or, rotate through. And I don't know. I mean, maybe this is another thing that does Chaim Bloom start to influence, that kind of stuff. Is that a, hey, we know we want a full-time DH, and or is it, yeah, we've got to give him a position because we want to have that available for rest or guys that are, too beat up to play out in the outfield, but they can still hit a little bit. I don't know, but I think that's going to be a really interesting thing. And I think it really will depend on how many of these people come back next year and, what spots are available.
Say with 100% confidence, Ivan Herrera and Masyn Winn, they're here, right? These are the guys. And I'm kind of the opinion that, let me just make sure I'm looking back at the list to make sure I'm not insane. I'm kind of the opinion that everyone else is, not that they are expendable, but they're they could be traded, they could be packaged, they could some type of move could happen with them. Do you think? How do you feel about that?
Well, I actually have a game going that will solve all those problems, or not solve them, but at least allow people to make those predictions. Because I've got it out there for asking people if everybody's going to stay or go. And you're right. I mean, looking at the people, we've had about 120 of these done bar. Masyn, Winn, and Herrera. In fact, I think actually after Masyn, Winn, it's surprisingly enough Liberatore and McGreevy, probably just because, there's no other pitchers. You've got to keep those guys. But Herrera's right up there, and I agree. I can't even fathom what kind of trade the Cardinals would do that would trade Ivan Herrera right now.
It seems very hard to get value back. It's also like he's a right-handed hitting, a right-handed average and power hitting potential catcher like that. I don't know what you could get for that, but you shouldn't trade that because that is better than whatever it's very hard to replicate that. And unless somebody just absolutely blows you out of the water, obviously, don't kick every, player out of bed. But yeah, I fully agree. And I think, again, I guess I'll just rehash that. Like, I think the priority should be, obviously Masyn Winn has his position, find the position for Ivan Herrera, and then focus on everything else. Everything else will kind of fall in around that.
Yeah, we've got 100. I finally pulled the numbers up. 129 people have opined so far, and McGreevy, Liberatore, Herrera, Scott, and Graceffo all have 3 people say they're gone. And to be fair, one of those is Kyle Reese, who said everybody should go. So it's Kyle.
That does bring up another question. Something that Nate has, I think he brought up last episode or the episode previous, is like, are the vibes just bad? Should we just nuke and repave and start over and let Chaim Bloom go capture his little Pokemon of prospects and we all kind of just kick it down the road, kick the can down the road for a couple of years and invest? What are your thoughts on that kind of approach?
You want to nuke it from orbit? It's the only way to be sure. No, I don't want to do that. I think there's a argument for that, just because, have we gotten so invested in players that aren't anything after all, right? I mean, I think we're seeing some of that with Gorman and Walker, and again, I don't want to necessarily write them off, but I think there's a lot more good feeling for those guys because they were high draft picks, because they've come up in the system, because we don't feel like maybe we've seen and they haven't met expectations. But there's like you said, 1,500 plate appearances or more for Nolan Gorman. Jordan Walker is getting into his, 3rd year, which granted has been up and down from the minors, but we're not seeing anything. Where do you draw the line? When do you say we've got to get better? I think that there's enough talent in this that I wouldn't want to just destroy it. And I also don't think that you could get much value for those guys. So you might as well, try it out and see. And at worst case, when it comes down to arbitration next year, you just, you don't tender them. But I don't think you're going to miss out on a huge prospect because you didn't trade Nolan Gorman.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I agree with that. Let's talk more about Jordan Walker. He has a 63 WRC plus. I think I brought this up last week or the week before. He's been one of the worst players in baseball. He's actually at 1,000, exactly dead on 1,000 plate appearances for his entire career. Today, before we recorded, he had 4 more plate appearances. He struck out 3 times. What do you think the Cardinals' plans going forward should be with Jordan Walker? And I'm talking spring training next year, 2026, trade deadline, everything. How would you handle the 23-year-old?
It's so hard because you're right. 23, I know Derek Gould, and we've talked about it on my show some, but Derek Gould likes to point out that, he's got the body type of like an Aaron Judge, and Aaron Judge at 23 wasn't even in the major leagues. It took a while for that to kind of click. I think that I think you have to at least kind of maybe plan for him to start in the minor leagues next year. And he's still got an option left, and I mean, again, assuming that you think he can get something out of that. Um, I think next year is a huge year for Jordan Walker because I think that if he doesn't show much, then yeah, he's option at the trade deadline or just to be non-tendered at the end of the year, and that would be pretty depressing because that was one of the best draft picks until Weatherholt and Doyle came along that the Cardinals have ever had in decades, and for them to somewhat miss on that, and whether they missed or the fact that they brought him up too early and moved him around and really didn't, who knows why Jordan Walker hasn't clicked. But I think you have to give him at least another chance, whether it's in the minors or in the majors, to find it next year.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really easy to sit here and at the end of 2025 with, all the abilities of just having all this hindsight and being like, yeah, the Cardinals probably messed this up or Jordan Walker messed this up. There was the report that he doesn't look at tape and, and that might just be because he's so naturally gifted. But I'm kind of the opinion that going into next year, the Cardinals should treat Jordan Walker as if he was not a first round pick, as if he's not a physical monster, as if he doesn't have these crazy exit velocity numbers, and just kind of bring him into camp, treat him like he's anybody else. He should, however he ends up playing, if he impresses at big league camp, have him stick around. If he doesn't, go to the minors. Let him, if it's putting him in AA, if it's putting him in AAA, just yeah, when we're skiing, let the mountain guide you, man. Just like let Jordan Walker's performance kind of like tell you where he needs to be. I feel like it's been prescribed and forced. Like the Cardinals front office essentially said that he is the right fielder no matter what going into this year. And obviously there were parts of that Nate and I really liked. We talked about that several times. But at the end of 2025, it just didn't work. And whether if it's his fault, whether if it's the league is too hard, whether if it's he didn't cook it long enough in the minor leagues, whether if it's long, tall guys take longer to develop. Like I know you said Randy Johnson, or you said Aaron Judge. I know Randy Johnson is another one. Obviously, he's a pitcher, but like there is a history of these guys who are 6'6", 6'7", however big Walker is, just taking a little bit longer to develop. I would love all the expectations just to be removed and let Jordan Walker just go play at the level that he is supposed to play at and develop normally. Like I know you know this, but I was looking at his minor league numbers and he hasn't had a WRC plus above 100 since 2023. It's just been 2 years of bad baseball. And the fact that he's spent time in AA and AAA and hasn't been able to dominate, I think, those are small sample sizes, but that might tell you everything you need to know about where Jordan Walker is.
Yeah. Yeah, I think so too. I think, it's going to be very interesting if, when Heimblum takes fully over, and we've talked a lot about this in a lot of different ways, but he's not going to have the attachment to Jordan Walker that, that front office that brought him in does. I mean, Heim's been around the last couple of years, and he's not necessarily going to just, hey, we're getting rid of this guy and get rid of that guy. But I think that it becomes a little easier for him to say, okay, well, this hasn't worked. We're going to try this. And not feel like it's a decision of his that we're going to have to renege on. It's that hit going back on it. Look, there's no pride involved, I guess, in this regard. And so we'll see if that matters.
All right. Before we go to our little ad read, do you have a playoff team that you are hopping on the bandwagon of?
Not particularly. I kind of keep up with it a little bit, but once the Cardinals are done, it's a little bit of a breather.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see. It probably just depends on the matchups too, to some degree. I'll kind of bounce around and have a team that I like here and there, but not overall.
All right. Fair enough. All right. Let's take a little break. I'd like to remind everyone that this show is brought to you by our Patreon subscribers. It's $2 a month. You can hop in the Bird Squad. You can talk with me if you want to talk with me. Daniel's there, a bunch of other people on there. As Nate always says, it's a great way to not be on the social media, the posting on X or Facebook or wherever people go anymore. It's nice to just go to the Bird Squad and hang out with the homies. We're on all the social media platforms, even though I just said what I said about them. We're on Blue Sky, TikTok, Instagram. You can listen to this show on Spotify if you want to listen to the show on Spotify. You can watch this show on YouTube. You can watch me turning red as I'm talking to C70 and getting angry about where the Cardinals are. You can find all of that information around the podcast, t-shirts, everything at talkingaboutbirds.com. You can email us questions or thoughts or whatever you have to talkaboutbirds@gmail.com. And of course, you can call us and leave a voicemail or send a text message to 848-48-BIRDS. That's 848-482-4737. I did not mess up the number with Daniel on, which I was very worried about doing. Daniel, can you take a second to plug all of the various social media and writing and podcasting and everything you have going on?
I mean, probably if you've listening to the show, you already know all this, but if for some reason you're just randomly wandered into this and really aren't sure what you're doing, I am at C70 on Twitter. I do have a Blue Sky. I don't use it as much. And all my links go there. You've got Meet Me at Mutual. You've got Gateway to Baseball Heaven, both podcasts that are anywhere you can find podcasts. And cardinal70.substack.com is where I write occasionally. I need to do better about it, but I still throw stuff up there here and there. And that's about it. Yeah, I think that's all.
All right. If you're not listening to Daniel and you're listening to this podcast, you make no sense to me. But yeah, just shout out and just thank Daniel again for being on this episode. Before we get into the series preview for next week, Daniel, you see the Coachella lineup came out this week. Are you excited about that?
I'm enthused. I'm excited.
Sabrina Carpenter's headlining.
I think I've heard of her. I was actually surprised.
Okay.
I wasn't sure if you were going to bring up anybody I've actually heard of. So, okay.
Justin Bieber?
I'm old enough to remember
There we go.
that. Not that I've ever listened
All
to
right,
it, but
all right.
I do know who it is. So
I'll send you some playlists. Don't worry about it. All right. The Cardinals are playing the Brewers. The Brewers are coming to St. Louis for 3 games. The pitching matchups are going to be Jacob Mizorowski versus Sonny Gray, Chad Patrick and Miles Michaelis, and Robert Gasser against Matthew Liberatore. We just saw this team. You kind of mentioned it earlier that they're probably downshifting at this point. They're probably. I wouldn't be surprised if Mizorowski and Gasser don't go deep into these games just to kind of keep them healthy. I don't know if there's anything revelatory that you can tell us about the Brewers, but any thoughts before we go into this series?
really, I mean, I was surprised that Mizorowski, the Cardinals were able to handle him last weekend as much as they did,
Yep.
and we'll see if they can do that again.
That Ivan Herrera homer was pretty exciting.
Absolutely. And we'll see. Miles Michaelis got away with it in Milwaukee. We'll see if he can do it again. He's actually been on a bit of a run.
Hey, people are talking about re-signing him, or he's talking about
I
people
think
re-signing
it's
him for next year.
He's trying to will that into existence. But and
Yeah.
if Mo was staying, I would not rule it out. But I don't think I'm going to do that. So yeah, I think that I think you're right. I think you're going to see those starters get pulled after 3 or 4 innings, and you're going to see the bottom end of their bullpen or whatever the case may be, or just people that need work. So I don't know that we can take a lot from it, but again, hopefully the Cardinals can take advantage of that, win a couple of games, and make things look a little better.
I think a funny way to distinct the Cardinals from the Brewers this season is that while Eric Fetty was the second or third starter coming into the season for the Cardinals, he is now the last man in the bullpen for the Brewers here at the end of the season. I think that's just a good way to kind of like describe how these 2 seasons have gone for these 2 teams. All right. After the 3 games with the Brewers, the Cardinals are going to be playing the Giants out in San Francisco. That's before the final series of the season against the Cubbies. The Cardinals are going to be going against Justin Verlander, Michael McGreevy. We have Logan Webb and Andre Palante, Robbie Ray, and Sonny Gray. this is a team that is actually still in the hunt, even though it is just barely. They are a game and a half ahead of the Cardinals. They're technically still in it. They may still be in it at this point, so I would expect them to be doing everything they can, and the Cardinals obviously trying to play spoiler. Outside of that, I'm not sure if there's too much else. I guess the only other thing I really want to say is that Justin Verlander has actually been really good recently, and he's kind of turned his season around. And as I said, the Cardinals are going to be pulling his number in the first game of the series. But yeah, outside of that, we've seen this team before this season. The Cardinals are ostensibly out of it. I don't know if there's too much else to break down unless you have anything.
No, I said, well, we saw them at the beginning of the month, right? It hasn't been that long ago.
Yeah.
I think the only thing I think of is, and I've mentioned this on our show, if the Cardinals were in this, I would be really frustrated at the fact that the Cardinals went to Seattle 2 weeks ago, and then they come home, and then they have to go to San Francisco instead of putting that all on one road trip. Those trips out to the West Coast can be tiring. It's not going to matter for the Cardinals now, but
right.
if it had been that, if they'd have been in a tight race, that could have been a difference right there.
Yeah, I hadn't thought about it like that, but I agree with you. Outside of that, I do like that I think it was something like 12 or 13 of the final games of the season were against NL Central clubs, which again, if the Cardinals were relevant, that would have been a lot of fun. But yeah, kind of a stupid eccentricity of this season is going out to those Northern California and Seattle in the same month.
But other than that, no, I think the Giants are the Giants, and who knows?
The Giants are the Giants. Rafi Devers has cooled down a little bit. The kind of whole offense has cooled down a little bit. But all right, let's get into some league news. And then I'm told Daniel has a game for me, which I am not concerned with at all. I'm going to nail it. I'm sure of it. But getting into league news, the Cubbies have clinched their first postseason berth since 2020. It feels bad, Daniel. I hate it. They're good. We're not. It's not fun.
No, it is that if you wanted to know if I had a team for the postseason, anybody that's playing the Cubs is going to be my playoff team. So yeah, it's frustrating to watch this. It's been a long, long time since the Cardinals have been, this bad when the Cubs have been this good. And let's hope it doesn't last.
Feels really bad. It makes the games less exciting when they play each other, and they're supposed to always be exciting. But Cubs are good, man. I mean, like, I'm just looking at their lineup right now, and what they're getting out of Moises Ballesteros. What Carson Kelly did for them, like, it's just all of it is annoying, and it really doesn't feel good. Speaking of teams, I talked about the Phillies earlier. They clinched the NL East for themselves against the Dodgers earlier this week. So they are the first team to wrap up the division title. Phillies are really good. I think if I had to put money on it, they're probably my World Series favorite. But yeah, Phillies are wrap up the NL East early.
I think that maybe John Mozeliak gets like half share from the Phillies because he traded Ryan Helsley to the Mets, and that's helped make this possible.
Shocking how there was I haven't really followed up with it. I don't know if you have, but I heard it was reported that Ryan Helsley might have been tipping his pitches. Has he fixed that? Is he still broken? Is he okay?
The last time I looked, he had thrown a scoreless inning. He'd had 2 outings of scoreless innings, but bracketed around another rough one. But they were using him in a 9-3 game or something like that. So they've definitely taken him out of leverage situations. It's probably been another week or so since I looked at it.
Yeah, I'm looking. He had 3 batters faced, gave up 1 hit, no earned run, no strikeout, no walk. Before that, he gave up a couple of runs. Before that, he gave up a couple of runs. Yeah. Be an interesting free agent. I am very curious how that all shakes out. But Ryan, love you, miss you. And yeah, I think you're right. I thought you were going to say because Edmundo Sosa was doing something that I was unaware of, but no, the Ryan Helsley thing makes more sense. All right, Cal Raleigh, the superstar catcher, aka the Big Dumper, sets a single season home run record by a switch hitter, and he ties the franchise record for the Mariners in the same night. He hits 54 and 55 in the same game in Kansas City. He is my MVP for the AL. Do you dissent on that opinion, Mr. Shoptaw?
What did 55 and 56? Did he have 56 now?
Oh my God, am I just
Because he
stuck
passed
a day?
he passed Mantle and he tied Griffey.
I'm
Um,
googling it.
yeah,
Quit yelling at me. Let's see.
has been.
Oh, that is so annoying. It's at 56.
See, usually you have to wait until I get to the Discord to correct you, but now I can do it in real time. So that's always fun.
Wow, that was genuinely infuriating that I got. I swear I looked that number up earlier, and to be one off. All right. Anyways, what were you saying?
No, I agree. I think that, I mean, yeah, when you factor in a catcher doing this and the records that he's setting and the team is good, I mean, the Mariners are right there. I mean, it's not like he's doing this on a last place team or anything like that. You know, I mean, I'm sure that there's obviously a case for Aaron Judge as well, but if nothing else, I think with variety, he'll probably get it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I think that's maybe what makes me feel so strongly about this is just the fun of it. A power hitting, switch hitting catcher whose nickname is the Big Dumper. Like, how are you not voting for that? Even though Aaron Judge exists, I think it's a slam
You
dunk.
think he could hit 4 more and get to 60?
I do. I mean, he hit 2 in 1. He just needs a couple more of those games. We have a handful of games remaining. I think absolutely. I'm counting on it, actually. My life depends on it. All right, that's all the that's all the league news I have. I know you said that you don't really have a team picked that you're going to be following. Do you have a World Series prediction or a World Series winner predicted?
You know, normally you just say Dodgers, right? But the Dodgers have been so
Right.
bad. That being said, there's no correlations, right? Once you get in, you get in, and if somebody gets hot, and they've been there before, and they've got a good manager,
Yeah.
I think until proven otherwise, I'll say the Dodgers, because
Okay.
I mean, it's stupid and boring, but that's what I'll go with. What about you?
I'm going Phillies just because I've been watching them recently, and that team is really
Yeah.
good, and Schwarber is really good, and Harper's getting hot, and just their pitch. They have a lot of pitching. Yohan Duran is really good. I don't know. I like their team, and then if I had to say from the AL, I am rooting for the Mariners.
Yeah.
I think the Mariners have the pitching. We've just needed them to get into the playoffs so that their pitching can do their thing. And Cal Raleigh is doing it damn near by himself on the offensive side. That's not true, actually. Julio's been good, and they have other players that have been good too. But I'm really rooting for them, and I do think that they are dangerous once they get into the tournament. All right. Well, that's all I got for league news. I guess I'm going to pass the mic to you now on my own show, and you're going to game me up.
I'm gonna try to. It's one I have. It's a version, I guess, of a game that y'all tend to play, but it's a little bit different. I have 7 phrases, seven facts, 7 people that are going to. I'm going to give you the information. You're going to guess them. So it's a bit like, who is this guy?
Okay.
Here's the kicker. All of them, in one form or another, have Nate or Ben as a name.
Okay.
So,
and these are all former Cardinals or just former
I
players or
wanted
former...
it to be former Cardinals, but that's
Yeah.
it was just
Not enough.
So they're kind of
Okay.
And I have and Alvina, there are 6 here that are straight Nate Benz, and then I've got a wrinkle for the last one.
Okay. Like the last name Benton has Ben in it.
Yeah. I mean, that would count. But actually, like I said, these first 6, it turned out I could find Nate or Ben. So
Okay.
here we go. First one.
All right. Oh God.
This outfielder slash first baseman, and let me, before we get to that, these can go back. These are not current. In fact, I don't think anybody on
Okay.
this list is actually current. So,
Oh, that's not good
no,
for
it's
me.
probably
All right.
not. This outfielder slash first baseman from St. Louis hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader years after watching Stan Musial do the same thing.
This outfielder slash first baseman hit 5 home runs in a doubleheader. God, I have. I'm only just going to name the Nate and Bens that I can think of, and they're all a lot more current than this person. I'm going to say Nate Shearholtz. Remember him?
I did. He was on my list of people to pick from, but I didn't. No, this is
Oh.
Nate Colbert. Nate Colbert was a kid in St. Louis and was at the doubleheader that Musial hit the 5 home runs, and then later on, 4 of the Padres did that. So,
I shouldn't ask this because I'm sure I'll ask this every question, but how do you know who this
now, to be
person
fair,
is?
this is a stat. This is one of those anecdotes that gets brought up quite often in Cardinal history here and there.
This is why I'm bad at this show or this
I
show. I've never heard that.
I guarantee you there is at least one on this list that you will get.
Wow. One. Okay.
At least.
That's good.
I mean, you may
Let's
get more
go.
than that, but there's one that I think will stand
All right.
out for you. So anyway.
All right.
All right.
Yeah.
Second one. This outfielder was traded from the Cardinals to the Padres in 2000 for Carlos Hernandez, but returned to the organization in a coaching role in 2019.
2000. He was traded.
He was a minor leaguer when he was traded. I'll give you that.
Oh God. Came back in a coaching role
Again with the minor leagues.
and his name is Nate or Ben, or that is somehow integrated. God, a minor league player, and he came back as a coach. Oh God, I don't know. Is Pop Warner's first name Nate? And I don't know that. Trying to think of what other coaches.
His coaching is in the minors as well. So
his coaching is in the minors
he's
as
a
well.
manager in the minor leagues right now.
I'm gonna go with Nate Johnson.
So close. It's Ben Johnson.
Is it really?
Yes, Ben Johnson, the manager of the Memphis Redbirds.
Oh my God! If I would have said my sarcastic answer was, "Oh, that is so annoying." Okay, that was close. I think that counts as being
close. I'll give
close.
you half a point for that one. Sure, why not?
Okay,
because points matter so much in this game. Okay, this one I think you're going to get this one. Okay. This catcher disclosed after his playing career that he had Parkinson's disease. And
that's the slam dunk.
His career was mainly as a Colorado Rocky.
Career is mainly as a Colorado Rocky. His name is Nate or Ben. He played with Parkinson's? That's insane.
Yeah, turned out he did. I think he was 1999, and then he was diagnosed after that and played 4 or 5 years.
Wow. That's amazing. Wow. Nate or Ben? Wow.
Okay. I was wrong.
Yeah. Never heard of, or this another anecdote that is completely out of my depth. I wasn't paying attention to the Rockies in 1999, unfortunately. I'm going to go with Ben Joyce.
Ben Petrick.
That's a baseball player.
Ben Petrick. Wow. It's a guy that and
never heard.
And again, I thought I did not know about Parkinson's until I searched it up, and I thought maybe that was something that in the Rockies spare would have come up. So that's why I thought maybe you would know that one. All right.
It's actually pronounced Petrick. So just to correct you on that.
Aren't you feel better now?
That's at least according to Baseball Reference.
That makes sense. Yes. Okay. Number 4. This outfielder won the Gold Glove and was an All-Star for Pittsburgh in 2008, leading the league in doubles that year.
Is that outfielder? Oh God. Outfielder in 2008 for the Pittsburgh Pirates. Name is Ben or Nate. Wow. That sounds like Nate Cheerholz. I feel like, oh no, he was a Giant, wasn't he? I think he was a Giant. But I'm thinking of a second baseman, but his name isn't Nader Ben either. God, this game, I suck at this. I'm going to say Ben Samorka.
I would think you would know if you were, but okay.
I thought maybe I'd forgotten or hit in the head or something like that. That would make sense for a lot of other stuff.
Nate McLouth.
Wow. Yeah. Never.
Yeah, I don't know about that one either. All right.
I mean, I was paying attention to baseball at that time. How have I
know the league better than I do, more so I thought maybe that was a name that would come up.
My gosh, this guy's got almost 10 years in the league. Nate McLouth, just don't remember him. Wow.
I mean, he
Gold
played
Glove
for
winner.
Pittsburgh, so that's fair.
He had a 125 OPS plus that year. 26 homers. Wow. Steroids.
Probably.
I'm calling it now.
All right. This pitcher was the first overall pick in the 1989 draft out of LSU and pitched 7 years for Baltimore and 2 for Milwaukee.
Okay. 7 for Baltimore. 3 for Milwaukee. Late 90s, early 2000s. So you said he was drafted in 99?
He was drafted in 89.
80. Oh, geez. Okay. Yeah, never mind. I'm going to go with Nate Smith.
Ben McDonald. That one was one in my
God.
Wheelhouse. I remember that one pretty well, so that one stood out. All right.
Another player I've never heard of.
I forget how old I am at times. This pitcher spent most of his 9-year career in Detroit, with the highlight being an 8th place finish in the 2004 Rookie of the Year race.
That's the highlight.
Yeah, trust me, it was.
Finish. What year was it? You said 2008?
2004 Rookie of the Year race.
2004 Rookie of the Year. But he got 8th place, and that was the best thing that ever happened to him, at least in a baseball sense. Wow. The last one was a Ben, so I'm going to go with this one as a Nate, and I'm going to say it is Nate Todd. How about Nate Todd?
Is
that a guy?
You got the Nate part. It's Nate Robertson.
Nate Robertson.
Yeah, I thought that might trigger.
That is just such a name that I feel like I'm tricking myself into remembering it, but I don't remember Nate Robinson.
Okay. Last one. I think you can get it, but it's got a twist.
Stop saying that. You're just
trust me. I feel like you can get this one. If you can just think of the twist.
All right.
This catcher is considered one of the best defensive catchers of all time with 15,122 putouts and a career .995 fielding percentage.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay. So there's a twist.
If I gave you any
somehow?
more, it would be obvious.
Okay. Just trying to think of Johnny Bench. Ivan Rodriguez, Yadi Molina. It's a catcher that's been around that played forever. Wait. Say those numbers again, please.
15,122 putouts and a career .995 fielding percentage.
Oh, it's just put out. Okay, so I was thinking the wrong way. Okay, so it's just a very good defensive catcher. I have a hint or I have a guess of what is it? Benji Molina?
It's Yadier Benjamin Molina.
My God. So I think I got half a point.
Probably half a point too. So you got a point out of all 7. That's not bad.
1 point total.
I don't think Nate would have done nearly that good.
Oh my God. You think I outperformed Nate by just guessing wildly? I will say that my Johnson guess, which taken out of context, you could think something else. But my Johnson guess was
That
good.
was.
We can say
That was
that.
good. I will be interested to know if any of your listeners played along and got anything because
Please, I beg you, if you got any of those or however many you got, hit us up 848-48-birds or talkaboutbirds@gmail.com or any of the socials. I am desperate to know if I, the dumbest man in the world, or other people, like, let me know what you got. I would love to see how y'all played against my terrible
your
performance.
demographics may skew younger than mine, and so may have more trouble with it.
Well, we'll see, I guess. Well, I think that's all we got for the episode. Daniel, thank you for making me look stupid. Thank you for pinch hitting for Nate. Thanks for adjusting your schedule to work with mine. Thank you for being just the best always. And I guess we can consider our feud done. I guess we're cool now, right?
We are cool. We are, well, no, I mean, me together. Personally, yes. I am never cool, so I can't say we are.
We're not.
Cool,
No,
but yeah.
I mean, we're recording a Cardinals podcast right now. We cannot be cool while we do this.
Pretty fair. But yes, we're good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that to join you. It was always a lot of fun. I always enjoy being with both of y'all and seeing y'all when we come together at Blogger Day. And I look forward to doing that again next year.
All right. Well, thank you again, Daniel. I guess to end this, go Nate Robertson, wherever you may be, and go Cardinals.
Go Cardinals.